Hello students, this is Mushtaque Ahmed, Assistant Professor of English, Islamiah College, Vaniyambadi. In this video, I am going to share with you some of the glimpses of the origin of Indo-Anglian literature or Indian writing in English. Before we go to the topic, it is necessary that it is the attraction towards Western culture by educated Indians who have studied in major universities and colleges in India during the colonial period. They have been so attached to the language, the Western atmosphere among the British, that they had some mesmerized effect of English culture in their life, or we can say the Indian culture during the colonial rule was slowly and gradually dominating the Indian culture. It was before the entry of British. Let me tell you the history. When British came to India with the intention to establish a company called the East India Company. After the establishment, they had worked with Indian people and they opted, especially the English educated people, though those days who know English to some extent, and later as the passage of time, they become the colonial government. That is the history. Now I'm not going to touch the topic because I'm just going to talk about how Indian literature in English or Indian writing in English came into existence. That is the topic today. The history of Anglo-Indian literature, Indo-Anglian literature or Indian writing in English is very interesting as well as challenging, because the elite group of Indians who had English education, who could write, read and speak English language very well comparing to the other mass, they had some interest in English culture, and that was the beginning of their attraction towards the westernization. The colonial rule in India and its socio-cultural and political, especially the educational reforms, brought tremendous changes in the country, paving way for the full growth of English language. First, the English language had its ground among Indians, and when they started understanding English, I'm talking about general Indians, especially the elite. When they studied English literature books, and when they came about the writers, the poets like Shakespeare, Ben Jonson and John Keats and like that, they had their own wish of writing something in English. So in that sense, habitually they took the themes that revolves India, that shows the Indian culture tradition. So when they wanted to write something in English, like novels and like that, they preferred to they want a topic to write. Okay, so they just saw that whatever they witnessed in India during that time. That is why the major trios, one of the major famous critic William Walsh says, he calls Raja Rao, Malkraj Anand and R.K. Narayan as major trios, because these are the three major personalities in India who have their best contribution to this field. He calls them major trio. Major means big, trio means three. So three big, or you can say three important people who have their best contribution firstly. And apart from these three, there are two notable personalities. Rabindranath Tagore the poet laureate who became famous for his collection of poems, Gitanjali, and the Nightingale of India, Sarojini Naidu. These two personalities have their best contribution to Indian writing in English. Rabindranath Tagore basically was a Bengali poet, a writer. He knew his literature, Bengali literature. He is famous for it, and he had good command over English language. So he translated on his own interest. He translated his works and some of the Bengali literatures into English language, and thus it became Indian writing in English. That is Indian culture, Bengali culture. He translated his works and other Bengali literature works into English. That he translated. The translated works of a local culture or Indian culture that is written in English is also considered Indian writing in English, because written by an Indian. Next, when Rabindranath Tagore, R.K. Narayan, Malpraj Anand wanted to write, they preferred Indian themes like untouchability, oppression, suppression, social injustice, and superstition. If you study the works of these major two, these authors, these novelists, Indian writers in English, we come to know that their works contain the realistic theme. It is not imaginary. Untouchability, what happens there, lower, it is the novel about lower caste and upper caste, like that, and Arkanay's other works are there. So all these show the Indian scenario to the reader. This is one thing. And second thing is, there are other Indian writers in English who are interested to the extent they were impressed by English language and culture to the extent that they convert to Christianity. They converted to Christianity, like the famous poet Madhusudan Dutt. He became a Christian because he was very much attracted towards the culture of the West. And second, these poets, apart from these poets, there are in other Indian writers too, like there was a person, he was English teacher, his name is Henry Vivian Dorenzio. He was an English teacher. He is known to be the first English poet, Henry Vivian Dorenzio. And following him, there were other writers too. And like Kim Chandra Chatterjee is the first English novelist. The first English book written by a person is called Sheikh Deen Muhammad. He wrote a book, Travels of Deen Muhammad, that gives a picture of his experiences as a physician, as a businessman. He shares his experiences with the writer. And this book was published in London. The first work is believed to be Sheikh Travels of Deen Muhammad. It was written by Sheikh Deen Muhammad. Okay. Next, there were other writers too, apart from him. The beginning of the 19th century, new generation of Indian writers were introduced to England. In the beginning of the 19th century, there rose a group of Indian writers who started to write in English. And the credit, but most of the credit, as I said, goes to Rabindranath Tagore and Sarojini Naidu for their tremendous contribution to Indian writing in English. And at the same time, when we go on studying the history, I'm not going deeper into the history of India because it's a vast ocean, it's like an ocean. Recently, after 1980s, there was a person And of course, his work was very much controversial, but he had his own style of writing and who laid a foundation for new style of Indian writing in English, the magical realism. Sir Ahmed Salman Rushdie. Of course, his works had some controversial elements that was against a particular region. But as literary people, we are not to the personality, but we are to the person's work. So we are concerned with what he has written and the style of his writing. That is the thing that is concerned. Salman Rushdie has his own brand of recognition in Indian writing in English, and there were many writers who followed him in writing English literature. He also has some contribution. His novel Midnight Children book won him Booker Prize in 1981. Then Kim Chandra Chatterjee, his work Ram Mohan's Wife also is one of the best ancient renowned fiction, first English novel. The first English novelist in India who wrote in English is Bankim Chandra Chatterjee for his work Rajmohan's Wife, that was published in 1861. Indian literature in English started growing to its fullest between the mid of 18th and the beginning of the 19th century. In between 18th and 19th century, it had its growth. Indian literature, Indian writing in English. There were three cities, major cities in India that were focused by the British, the colonial government. There were Bombay, Madras and Calcutta. These were the cities that had direct impact of English language. Raja Rao, that was one of, as I said, Raja Ram Mohan Rai. Here, Raja Rao, one of the major churches propagated among Indians to study English. See, just have to note, in India during the colonial government, there was a group of people who are called elite Indians who had English education, degrees, and there were some people who had some wish to learn, and there was another person, Raja Rao. He persuaded other people, common people, to study English language. Here we have to note how Indian writing in English literature, Indian writing in English developed. So this is the beginning of the Indian writing in English. Thus, it grew. It has grown to the fullest now. Raja Rao believed, so he propagated the importance of English language among people, because he knew that as long as the British government exists in India, he understood the need of the hour, and he asked other people to study English. Otherwise, it will be a challenging task for them to survive. Survive in the sense they can't develop. In fact, the British government, after the establishment of East India Company, it had started giving job opportunities to people, and it focused only those who were well versed or who knew English. So this was also another factor that most of the Indians turned towards the English language. So British, in one way, it captured the territories by its power, and in another way, it captured it captured the hearts, the mentality of Indians. Like this, Indians started to learn English language, and through English language, they studied English literature. Through English literature, they came to understand the Western culture, and then they got attracted towards it. And in Indian, some of them, most of them, you can say, elite Indians, in particular, started to write started writing English on the basis of Indian themes, like as I said earlier. Then next coming up is Kashi Prasad. Kashi Prasad is the founder of Anglo-Indian literature. He stands in second to Henry Dorinshaw as is the poet, English poet, in the first Indian English poet. He has contributed much to Indian written English. His published work, Shire and other poems that was published in 1830, have given a good impression on the history of Indian literature. And at the same time, he is the first Indian to have published a complete and regular volume of English words. The elder next to comes is Manmohan Ghosh. He is the elder brother of Sri Aurobindo, who is one of the Indian literary stars. Manmohan Ghosh pursued his education at Larentu Convent, Darjeeling. His brother Vinod Bhushan and Sri Aurobindo, they all have studied together in the same convent. Manmohan Ghosh was, because I am talking about Manmohan Ghosh because he was so attracted toward Western culture, and he served as a professor. He started to write his career as a poet when he was still in England. His poetry shows that he was attracted towards the Western culture. He did not even want to return to his country, impressed by Western, due to his impression towards Western culture. His poems speak his wish and longing for returning to a country where he spent 20 years of his life. Next, Aurobindo Ghosh is also one of the incomparable literary figure in Indo-Anglo literature. His artistic literary contribution raised the status of Indian writing in English. I'm just reading it so that you can make a note of it. I have some names of those who have contributed to England writing English. Next is the famous personality in Indian English literature, Indian writing in English, is Jawaharlal Nehru. When he saw Mahatma Gandhi, his first meeting was held with Mahatma Gandhi in 1916. He was impressed by his patriotic feelings and he started to cooperate him. And for that reason, for this freedom struggle, he was jailed by the British. Being in jail during his station as a prisoner, he wrote letters to his daughter Indira Gandhi, and those letters were named letters by a father to his daughter. Through his letters, he proved that he is also one of the Indian contributor to Indian writing in English. His collection consists of 31 letters. He had 31 letters written to his daughter. Besides, he authored a book titled Glimpses of World History, and the book was published in 1934. The book is a survey of world history from the beginning of the civilization of the mid of 19th century. Nehru's literary achievement is his autobiography that was published 2 years later, to Glimpses of World. And it is also one of the best works written by an Indian. It has been his long cherished dream to portray Indian heritage to the world. The purpose of writing this book Nehru has contrasted, or you can say has sketched the highlighting points. He brought under limelight the tremendous qualities of India to the world. That shows his patriotism. He brought to the fact. He brought to the light the real heritage of India to the world, and he wrote Discovery of India. This is the book that has given much, that has been recognized and has been accepted by a large number of people. This book speaks about India, and the Indians. He says, he mentions in this book the diversity, unity in diversity. The very important thing is he wants to combine, he wants to mingle all the Indians in one platform. He does not want to deviate them in the name of caste, creed, or religion. What he says is all Indians are Indians, first of all, irrespective of the religion. He gives importance to nationality than religion, and every Indian must do it. This is the teaching that we learn from this book. For instance, if I go to America or some part of the world, I will be called in Indian. Nobody will see my religion. They will be called, I'm an Indian. If a Hindu goes to somewhere, he will call an Indian, not Hindu. If a Muslim goes to somewhere, he will call. So the religion plays prominent role only here. Of course, maybe some for political reasons, but actual thing is that we should not give first preference. The nationality is it's a recognition that brings all people, all Indians in one line. And religion is a personal thing, is a personal feeling, it's a belief. It is connected with belief. Here, that is the thing he wants to say, that all Indians have one label. That label is Indian label. Everybody has Indian label. And he is recognized with that nationality, not by religion, he says. At the same time, this book is evident of his patriotism. This book is believed to be a landmark in the history of Indian writing in English. Next, talking about the modern writers, it is Vikram Seth. He is one of the energetic and realistic novelists of the contemporary era. He is famous for his pure and refined English. He writes in such a way that even a reader becomes an English learner. That is very important. Usually, when a person knows English, he reads. But there are some novelists who write in English with refined method. They use good terms, good vocabularies that a mediocre reader could enhance his literary knowledge in English especially. He wrote a novel, first novel, Suitable Boy, that was published in 1994. It brought him a recognition as an Indian writer in English. He is inspired by Jane Austen. Vikram Seth moral model is Jane Austen, and he has twist the speciality of Vikram Seth is he has suspense. His story is full of suspense and twists and turns, keeping the reader attached to the work, to the pages. Shashi Tharoor, coming up, is also a congressman. He has a good command over the English language and also the storytelling technique. He has used the literary technique, an obscure or a very different technique, in his novel, The Great Indian Novel, that was published in 1989. He stands unique among his contemporaries in presentation of the back and forth situational ideas and concepts. When reading his novel, one understands the back and forth situations means he keeps his readers focused towards the novel, the story. There are other writers like Shashi Tharoor, Kiran Desai, Chitra Banerjee, Raj Kamal Jha, Jhumpha Lahiri, Bharati Kijna, Amit Chowdhury, Vikas Saraf, Kiran Nagarkar, Siya Krishna and Rohinton Mistry, and of course Upamanya Chatterjee. So these writers understood the worth of Indian color, and in this way they portrayed what is essential for Indian as well as the foreigners. Indian literature, Indian writing in English is a way through which others understand the real worth of our nation. If there were no Indian writers in English, no one could have understood the real Indian heritage, traditional values, cultural values. Because India is the first country that has many people belonging, that has people from various religions. Mahatma Gandhi's book is also there that shows that India is a role model for humanity. Of course, there may be some confusions within, but the thing is, Indians are together. They understand the words. Because if you see other countries, there will be Muslims, majority of Muslims, Christians, Jews, like that. In India, all are there together, living like a family. This is the thing that is stated, that is mentioned in many of the books that speak about secularism. So coming back to Indian written English, through this way of literature, reading any work written by an Indian writer in English, even the foreigners come to understand and appreciate the real traditional heritage of India. At the same time, the socio-cultural background of multilingual Indian writing in English. The English language explores Indian writing in English that is helpful in understanding the various cultures and societies in India. There is no confusion. Indians have their own identity, and comparing to other countries, the cultural and societal values could be understood by through the reading of Indian writing in English. The newspapers, when there were no novels, before the novels came into existence as the literary genre, there were newspapers through which people read English. When the elite Indians were reading English newspapers, and when other Indians who knew English started to read newspapers, they also had the wish to read more and more about English. So this is the way from which we can understand that Indian writing in English is not a very, what do you say, the history of Indian writing in English is not very much easy. The writers have to opt the important theme. They have to present their ideas without hurting someone's emotions, the religious feelings or other things. In this way, the writers have contributed to the best of their ability. And of course, as English teachers and English aspirants like you, dear students, we have to understand the worth of Indian writing in English, and we too have to do something better. We have to contribute to this field by writing stories, poems, fiction, non-fiction or science fiction, or we can say the clay fiction. You know what is meant by clay fiction? CLI, clay, FICTI, clay fiction, climate fiction. Yes, this is a new genre today. Climate fiction. The clay fiction, the term clay fiction was coined by Dan Bloom in almost, I think he is a English teacher, and in 2008, yes, he coined this term, cli-fi, CLI hyphen FI. Cli means climate, FI means fiction, and it was Margaret Atwood who used this term for the first time in probably in 2012, I think, yes. What I want to say is, reading and writing is a part of our life. Yes, no problem. But we have to understand that we as English teachers and as English aspirants, it is necessary and it is our job to do something better for the betterment, for the benefit and for the enhancement of our society. In Indian culture, Indian tradition has to be safeguarded at any cost. So these are the qualities that make India a more and more beautiful, cultured and disciplined country. And we should be proud that we are part of it, and it is our soul and it is our spirit. So before I conclude, I would like to tell that Indian writing English has given the recognition of India to the entire world, and we have to safeguard this, and we have to do better for the development of this field, that is Indian writing English, through our knowledge, through our contributions, literary contributions. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.